The great chamber of the Galactic Council was alive with murmurs, laughter, and the occasional scoff. Representatives from hundreds of star systems sat in towering seats, their alien forms silhouetted against the shimmering domes of the chamber. They were beings of centuries, some millennia, their technology and wisdom far beyond anything Earth had achieved. So when the proposal for Earth's inclusion was presented, the reaction was immediate and brutal. "A primitive world," one elder from the Orcs cluster whispered, shaking his multifaceted head. "Still struggling with nuclear fusion and atmospheric pollution. What relevance could they possibly have in our cosmic community? Chaotic, unpredictable, and violent," another representative added, her voice dripping with disdain. "They haven't even mastered peaceful coexistence among themselves. Their species will burn itself out before reaching any true potential." The Earth Envoy, a lone human projected as a hologram, stood tall and composed despite the hostility. His voice was calm and clear. "We ask only to observe, to learn from the Council's wisdom and contribute what we can. Humanity's potential is vast. Our history shows resilience in the face of impossible odds." But the Council was not swayed. Ancient beings who had witnessed the rise and fall of stars, who had shaped planets and civilizations, found Earth's plea naive at best. The vote was swift. Earth was dismissed, relegated to the footnotes of galactic history. The chamber echoed with laughter as the result was announced. No. Yet, in the midst of the laughter, a subtle shift occurred. A few eyes lingered longer on the human envoy. Some fingers tightened in thought. The youngest counselor, barely a century old by their reckoning, exchanged a glance with a colleague. What if Earth was not just another fledgling world doomed to fade? Far away on Earth, people celebrated the decision with a mixture of frustration and quiet pride. The rejection only strengthened a growing fire within their leaders and innovators. If the Council wouldn't recognize them, then humanity would make itself impossible to ignore. In underground labs, scientists pored over reverse engineering projects salvaged from old probe fragments. Engineers pushed the limits of fusion reactors and propulsion systems, determined to leapfrog the technology that the Council deemed necessary for respect. Soldiers trained relentlessly, not for war, but for survival in a galaxy that had already written them off. The Council's laughter echoed across the void, but it also sparked a defiant chorus rising from a world not yet ready to surrender. Back in the Grand Hall, the elder Orcs leaned close to his neighbor and muttered, "They are reckless, but there is a stubbornness there we have not seen before." His neighbor nodded slowly, unease creeping into his voice. "Watch them. I fear we may have underestimated a storm." And so the chapter closed on Earth's first council hearing, one marked by dismissal and derision, but also by a silent, simmering promise. The galaxy had made its judgment, but humanity was only beginning its story. Years passed after the Council's dismissal of Earth, and the galaxy went on with its usual politics and power struggles. Earth remained a small, noisy planet on the fringes of known space, still grappling with its own problems, but quietly preparing for something bigger. The Council sent out a scout probe, designed to observe Earth without interference. It was sleek, built from centuries of advanced technology, equipped with sensors far beyond human imagination. Its mission was simple: gather data, assess potential, report back. But the probe never returned. Weeks passed without a signal, then months. The Council grew restless. What had happened? Was it destroyed, captured, or worse, reverse engineered? One day, a weak, distorted transmission came through the static. It was fragmented, barely understandable, but it contained something unprecedented, proof that Earth had captured the probe. Across the Council chambers, silence fell as technicians worked to decode the data. Images flickered on screens showing Earth's own scientists dismantling the probe with precision and curiosity. Calculations, blueprints, and strange new weapon concepts began to emerge from the intercepted signals. The Council had assumed Earth's technology would lag centuries behind their own, but here was proof of rapid adaptation and innovation. The humans had taken the Council's finest tool and turned it into a treasure trove of knowledge. Factions within the Council debated fiercely. Some argued that this was an act of aggression, an unprovoked theft that demanded punishment. Others counseled caution. Earth had not fired a shot, nor declared war. They were simply evolving. On Earth, the event sparked a wave of urgency. Military and civilian researchers alike worked day and night. The probe was more than a piece of foreign tech. It was a challenge, a test to rise beyond their limits. Advanced artificial intelligence modules, salvaged from the probe, were integrated into Earth's own systems. New propulsion designs inspired by alien engineering pushed ships to speeds previously thought impossible. Weaponry became smarter, more precise, less destructive but infinitely more effective. While the Council argued, Earth's progress was undeniable. In the halls of the Council, worry began to replace laughter. One elder whispered to another, "They learn too fast, and they are unpredictable. What if their growth outpaces our control?" But the youngest counselor, the one who had hesitated during the first vote, was now openly concerned. "We thought them primitive and doomed, but they are neither. We must reconsider our approach." Meanwhile, Earth's leaders remained silent to the Council's calls. No declarations, no demands, just continued development and quiet strength. The galaxy started to notice. Merchants and smugglers spoke of strange new ships flying under the Earth flag, capable of outmaneuvering even the most experienced pilots. Pirates whispered about mercenaries, employing tactics no one could anticipate. The Council's underestimation was becoming their greatest liability. And so the probe that never came home became a symbol, not just of Earth's defiance, but of a future none in the Council could yet see. A future where the planet once mocked might reshape the entire galaxy. The Yulmaris outpost was a quiet world on the edge of Council space, a place where diplomats met, traders exchanged goods, and peacekeepers kept watch. It was never meant to be a battlefield. Until the day everything changed. One evening, the power grid flickered, then went dark. Emergency lights bathed the station in eerie red. Council security forces scrambled to their stations, expecting a routine malfunction or a minor sabotage attempt. What they found was something else entirely. The network had been hacked, but not by any known enemy. The signatures were unfamiliar, alien. Shadows moved in the digital corridors, disabling defenses and locking out commanders. Panic rippled through the outpost's inhabitants as communications fell silent. Then, from the darkness, came the strike. Dozens of soldiers in sleek, advanced exosuits appeared like ghosts, silent, efficient, deadly. They moved with uncanny coordination, their armor absorbing energy blasts and rendering most Council weapons useless. They were humans. The Council had never expected Earth to possess such technology, let alone the audacity to launch an attack on a protectorate world. But the humans did not seek to destroy. Their mission was precise: steal the data core, the heart of Yulmaris's information network. In mere hours, the core was extracted and the humans vanished without a trace. The Council was stunned. They had scoffed at Earth, but now humans had struck a Council world and escaped unscathed. The message was clear: humanity was no longer to be dismissed. Back on Earth, the raid was hailed as a triumph. It was not an act of aggression, but a demonstration of capability. The stolen data included technologies and strategies that would accelerate Earth's military evolution. More importantly, it sent a message to the galaxy: Earth had arrived. Within the Council chambers, the mood shifted from amusement to unease. Debates grew heated. Some called for immediate retaliation. Others urged caution. "We cannot allow this insolence to go unanswered," one elder thundered. But another replied, "They do not seek conquest. They are playing a different game, a game we have yet to understand." The youngest counselor, who had long advocated for a more nuanced view of Earth, now spoke openly. "We were blinded by arrogance. These humans fight with a kind of ferocity and cunning unlike anything we have seen. We must watch carefully. They are dangerous, yes, but they may also hold the key to new ways of thinking. Outside the council, stories of the Shadow Strike spread. Traders whispered of human warriors who moved like wraiths, soldiers who could vanish mid-battle and reappear where least expected. Mercenaries sought Earth's weapons and armor designs, desperate to catch even a fraction of their power. The strike on Ylmeris was more than a raid. It was a turning point. The Council no longer laughed at Earth. They watched with growing dread. And Earth, ever silent in the galaxy's gaze, prepared for what was coming next. The Council chambers were buzzing. After the shock of the Ylmeris raid, the urgency to bring Earth into the fold was undeniable. Diplomats and military leaders pushed for a new vote, not to dismiss Earth, but to grant them observer status immediately. The galaxy could no longer afford to ignore this rising power. A formal invitation was sent. Envoys were dispatched with messages of peace, collaboration, and caution. The Council wanted Earth as a partner, not an enemy. It was a chance to learn from each other, to avoid conflict. But Earth did not respond. Days became weeks. Weeks stretched into months. No messages came back. No signals acknowledged the Council's calls. It was as if Earth had gone silent by choice. Inside the Council, confusion turned to frustration. Some saw the silence as defiance, a sign that Earth was too proud to accept guidance. Others worried it was a warning, that Earth was preparing for something greater, something the Council couldn't yet grasp. Meanwhile, on Earth, the silence was deliberate. Leaders and strategists debated fiercely behind closed doors. They had seen how the Council dismissed them, laughed at them. Now, with new technology, new strategies, and new confidence, Earth didn't need permission or approval. Instead of reaching out, Earth focused inward, building, training, evolving. Human fleets expanded, their designs no longer copies of Council models, but unique creations optimized for speed, adaptability, and intelligence. Soldiers trained in ways that blurred the line between human instinct and machine precision. Earth's leaders watched the Council's attempts to communicate and chose silence as their answer. They did not seek war, but they refused to be controlled or patronized. Their silence was a statement. Earth would rise on its own terms. In the Council, the debate grew heated. If they refuse dialogue, how can we ensure peace? One counselor demanded. Perhaps they want us to watch, not to lead. Another replied quietly. They are not interested in our approval. They want something else, respect earned through action. The youngest counselor, now a prominent voice in the chambers, agreed. We must prepare for a galaxy where Earth is no longer a footnote but a player. Ignoring them, or trying to force them into our system, may only push them further away. As months turned to years, Earth's silence became a source of dread. Every new human technology, every unexplained fleet movement, was met with suspicion and fear. Rumors spread that Earth was developing weapons capable of rewriting the rules of engagement, tools not of destruction but of control. And yet, Earth remained quiet. The Council's envoys who tried to approach human space reported nothing but empty stations and closed communications. It was as if Earth was building a fortress, not just of steel and firepower, but of will and secrecy. Outside the Council, in distant star systems, whispers circulated. Humans were no longer a joke. They were an unknown force, silent but deadly. And the Council, once so sure of their judgment, now waited with growing unease. The silence from Earth was louder than any declaration. It was a challenge. Human fleets had become a whispered legend across contested systems, appearing suddenly, striking with ruthless efficiency, then disappearing just as fast. What started as routine patrols and training exercises quickly evolved into something far more intense, war games unlike any the galaxy had seen. The Council observed in disbelief as Earth's commanders deployed tactics that broke every traditional rule. Their ships moved with unpredictable patterns, weaving through enemy fire like living shadows. Their fighters coordinated flawlessly, striking targets simultaneously from multiple directions. It was not brute force, but precision, deadly, elegant, and terrifying. Pirate clans, once bold enough to challenge Council trade routes, found their hideouts raided and dismantled with surgical strikes. Mercenary groups who prided themselves on ruthless combat discovered human soldiers adapting to every scenario, learning and evolving in real time. Automated defenses designed by the Council's top engineers failed to anticipate human ingenuity. These were not wars for territory or conquest. They were battles for mastery, tests of skill and readiness. Earth fought to learn, to sharpen itself against every threat, known and unknown. On the sidelines, Council veterans watched with a mix of awe and dread. One retired admiral whispered, "They don't fight like us. They don't just win. They rewrite the rules of engagement." Reports flooded in from frontiers where humans operated. Ships that could cloak in full daylight, soldiers who could hack systems mid-battle, weapons that disabled rather than destroyed. The Council's confidence cracked. The Council debated furiously. Some wanted to confront Earth directly, to force a treaty or challenge their rising power. Others warned against provocation. "They are not our enemies," a respected elder said, "but they are not our allies either. They walk a path of their own design." Earth, however, did not announce its intentions. No proclamations of war, no diplomatic overtures, only silent actions that spoke volumes. In one contested sector, a coalition fleet assembled to stop human incursions. The battle was swift and brutal. Earth's forces outmaneuvered the coalition at every turn, disabling key ships with minimal casualties. Instead of destruction, humans used their mastery to disable systems, seize control, and retreat before reinforcements could arrive. Afterward, the coalition was left in chaos, their leadership fractured, and their morale shattered. The Council grew wary. What did Earth want? Domination, revenge, or something else entirely? And then, Earth did something unexpected. They offered aid. Through AI systems subtly integrated into Council networks, humans began suggesting improvements, new strategies, upgrades, and defenses. Some Council members accepted the help reluctantly, recognizing the benefits. Others saw it as a warning. Earth's reach was now inside their own halls. The galaxy watched, unsure whether Earth was a threat or an ally. One thing was clear: humanity's games of war had changed everything. And the Council, once so sure of their place, now watched in dread. Velfar Station was a jewel of the Galactic Council's military might, an enormous orbital fortress guarding the gateway to several key star systems. It was considered impregnable, equipped with the latest weapons, shields, and automated defenses. No enemy had ever dared challenge it directly. Until Earth came. When human fleets approached Velfar, alarms blared across the station. Council commanders prepared for a full-scale siege, confident their overwhelming firepower would repel any attackers. But what arrived was not a straightforward assault. Instead, Earth's forces laid siege with surgical precision and calm patience. Their ships did not bombard the station with relentless missiles or energy blasts. They cut power grids one by one, disabling defensive turrets silently and efficiently. Their soldiers infiltrated remote control hubs, shutting down communication networks and gravity controls without raising alarms. Council forces inside Velfar scrambled to respond, but they were fighting an enemy who seemed always one step ahead, anticipating their moves, neutralizing their strengths, and exploiting their weaknesses. Days passed. No grand battles, no catastrophic destruction, only calculated moves, small but critical losses that added up. Inside the station, tension grew. Commanders questioned their strategies, frustrated by the invisible hand dismantling their defenses. The humans did not seek to destroy the station outright. They wanted control. And then came the moment that stunned the galaxy. Without firing a single shot, Velfar Station surrendered. Not because it was overwhelmed, but because it was outmatched. Earth's leaders broadcast a message to the Council. We do not seek to conquer. We seek only to survive and to be prepared for what the future holds. The council was speechless. Their greatest military bastion had fallen not to brute force, but to strategy, discipline, and an understanding of war far beyond their own. Inside the council chambers, panic replaced arrogance. Debates turned frantic. Some demanded immediate retaliation, while others warned against provoking a force that had proven far too clever and efficient. The youngest counselor, once dismissed as naive, now spoke with authority. Earth fights not to conquer, but to perfect their readiness. Their methods are different, but no less effective. We must learn from this. Rumors spread quickly across the galaxy about the fall of Velthar Station. Tales of human precision, of soldiers who could disable entire defense networks without a shot, of commanders who saw battles as puzzles to solve rather than wars to rage. Mercenaries, traders, and spies scrambled to gather information. Earth's reputation grew not as a reckless upstart, but as a master tactician. And through it all, Earth remained silent on the galactic stage. No celebrations, no demands, no threats. Just readiness. The Council watched in dread, realizing that the humans had rewritten the rules of war, and that their own greatest fortress was now a symbol of what could be overcome. The fall of Velthar Station was not just a defeat, it was a warning that Earth was no longer a planet to scoff at. They were a force to be reckoned with, and the Council could only watch. After the fall of Velthar Station, the Galactic Council's fear deepened. Earth's rise was no longer a rumor or a threat. It was reality. But what puzzled the Council most was Earth's sudden silence. The humans did not boast or threaten. They simply watched and prepared, like hunters waiting for the right moment. Instead of open confrontation, Earth's AI began to infiltrate Council networks with subtlety and skill. These artificial intelligences, crafted from a mix of salvaged Council tech and human ingenuity, slipped past the galaxy's most advanced firewalls, quietly observing, upgrading, and sometimes subtly influencing systems. The Council's top cyber specialists found traces of these intrusions, but could never fully track or stop them. The AI's purpose was unclear. They did not cause destruction or chaos, but their presence was felt everywhere. Security systems grew stronger, battle plans improved overnight, and weak points patched before enemies could exploit them. It was as if Earth was silently watching every Council move, learning, adapting, and always ready. In the Council chambers, tension was palpable. The same beings who once laughed at Earth now whispered of dread. "They watch us," one elder said, "not as enemies, but as something more, inevitable." The Council debated how to respond. Direct attacks risked provoking a war none were prepared to fight. Negotiations were useless while Earth remained silent. Some suggested trying to infiltrate Earth's own networks in return, only to find their efforts thwarted at every turn. Meanwhile, on Earth, the Quiet Watchers had their own reasons. Human commanders studied Council patterns, anticipated moves, and prepared defenses. But they never sought to dominate or destroy. Their goal was survival, pure, simple, and relentless. In star systems across the galaxy, small fleets began to report strange phenomena. Unexplained system upgrades, sudden shifts in power distribution, and ghostly AI signatures that left no physical trace. Humans had become invisible puppeteers, shifting the galaxy's balance without revealing themselves. For the Council, this was worse than war. War had rules, and there were ways to fight back. But invisible control was unpredictable, unsettling, and dangerous. Trade routes grew more secure, piracy declined sharply, and old rivalries cooled as human influence spread unseen. Many in the Council wondered, were the humans protecting the galaxy or preparing to control it? The youngest counselor voiced a growing fear. Earth does not play by our rules. They fight wars we do not understand and use weapons we cannot see. They have become watchers in the shadows, and we are their stage. As the Council watched, Earth remained silent, never striking, never revealing its full power. It was a quiet dread that settled over the galaxy, a feeling that the next move was coming, but no one knew when or where. In this new era, silence was more terrifying than any battle cry. And the council waited, with growing dread. For the humans who had once been mocked were now the silent watchers, always ready, always watching. And the galaxy had changed forever. The galaxy held its breath. Years of silent tension had stretched the limits of patience across countless star systems. The council's laughter was long gone, replaced by whispers of dread and uncertainty. Earth had risen from obscurity to power, not with thunder and fire, but with quiet resolve and relentless precision. And now, the moment was at hand. Without warning, the council received a message, a single broadcast sent to every star system, every outpost, every listening station. It was in perfect council standard, clear and authoritative. "This is Earth," the voice began, calm yet firm. "We no longer ask for your approval, your pity, or your scorn. We have grown beyond your judgment and your laughter. The galaxy has changed, and with it, the balance of power." The message continued, outlining the new reality. Earth would no longer be sidelined or ignored. They would defend their interests, protect their people, and pursue their vision for the future of the galaxy. But it was not a declaration of war. It was a warning. Peace will be maintained, but make no mistake, those who threaten our existence will face consequences unlike any seen before. We offer alliance to those who respect our sovereignty and strength. We offer defense to those who stand with us. And to those who oppose us, we offer only defeat. The council chambers erupted in chaos. Some called for immediate war, others for cautious diplomacy. The youngest counselor, now an influential leader, reminded them all of what Earth had already proven. They have rewritten the rules of war and silence. We must not underestimate what they bring to the table. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, worlds braced for what might come. Trade routes shifted, alliances were tested, and old conflicts paused in the shadow of Earth's rise. Earth did not wait. Fleets moved with purpose, patrols increased, and diplomatic envoys prepared to meet their counterparts, not as supplicants, but as equals. In this new dawn, the galaxy was no longer a place of certainty. It was a battlefield of ideas, of power, and of survival. The council's scoffs had turned to dread, because they had seen what others refused to believe. Humanity was not a threat to be ignored. They were a force that would shape the future. And the wars that followed were unlike any before, brutal, clever, and unpredictable. For Earth was fighting not just to survive, but to thrive. And the galaxy would never be the same again.